In the midnight glow where the stars align, we lose ourselves in the rhythm divine. Underneath the sky painted with dreams we're chasing.
Hi, welcome to episode 2. Today we're going to talk about the zodiac signs and their meaning. We're going to go over each of the zodiac signs. We're going to talk about the element they're in, the date for each zodiac sign, and the flavor or the characteristics of them. Mari, do you want to start with Aries?
Yeah, let me kick it off with Aries, the very first sign in the zodiac. It starts March 21st. So the zodiacal new year is actually at the spring equinox. That is when the zodiacal calendar starts with Aries. The initiator, March 21st through April 19th are the dates of Aries. And Aries is kind of the spark that ignites the fire, if you will. Some keywords for Aries are bold, passionate, daring, impulsive, pioneering, assertive, courageous, independent. They can be competitive, kind of fiery. So some of the traits would be someone who's a natural born leader. They thrive on action, crave independence. Sometimes they can be a little resistant of authority. They thrive in challenge and movement, always on to the next thing. Definitely, yeah, like they are being that they're a fire sign. So there's that fire behind them, that push, that action. They can be honest to a fault with a little childlike enthusiasm for life. They, being the very first zodiac sign as well, they really are connected with their inner child spirit. Along with that, sometimes can struggle with patience or tact. Those are things that Aries really need to work on in life. But they're very protective and loyal. They're protective of those they love. And they really have that true warrior spirit.
I think you covered everything I could think of. The only thing I wanted to add here was that Aries is actually the start of the astrological new year. So we think New Year's is January 1st, and that's when we start with our New Year's resolutions. But actually, astrologically, it's better to start during Aries season, which is the spring. You know, if you think of spring, you think of the planting of the seeds, the blooming of all the flowers, the plants. The season is just starting to wake up. So that's a great time to set your intention and any resolutions that you want to make for the year.
Yeah, absolutely. To kind of echo what you're saying as well, internally, I mean, we are cyclical beings as well, and we live on a cyclical planet. And if we are following kind of the natural rhythms of the earth, like you said, spring really is the beginning. It is the start of you've planted those seeds and you're going to watch them grow. And really, winter is the death before rebirth, right? So that's why, we have Pisces, the very end sign, right in the middle of that, or towards the end of that death and about ready to come into rebirth. So really, if you're not feeling super motivated on January 1st and ready to tackle all of those those resolutions, it's okay, because most of us aren't. We are still in the middle of our winter, in the quiet, in that reflective time, in that rest time. And so if you're not feeling all gung-ho about your resolutions, and then the sunshine and warmth coming in the spring kind of enlivens you and gives you that energy, well, that's because your body is in tune with nature. So to us, astrologers, it makes a lot more sense to have New Year's be spring.
Yeah, and you let yourself off the hook for New Year's when you think you have to make all these changes in the middle of winter, when, most of us, especially here in the Midwest, we're still hibernating.
Deeply hibernating. Yes, it is still pitch dark at 4:30 at night, practically at that time. So yeah, not a lot of energy to tackle those goals.
Right.
But speaking of spring, a very springy sign, Taurus. Do you want to give us the lowdown on Taurus, Jody?
Yes. So Taurus dates are April 20th through May 20th. And Taurus is very different energy than fiery Aries. Now we're moving into Taurus, which is an earth element. It's the grounded one. So Taurus is steady. They're loyal. They're very grounded. They appreciate the comforts of beauty. They love beauty. They love stability and security. They also are drawn to nature. They like to be outside. They love art. They love anything that engages the senses. I have a lot of Taurus placement. My midheaven is on Taurus, and I really feel that. I mean, I love food. So if you want to cook and feed me, I am a happy person. And just the security, the stability, those are comfort. Tauruses really move at their own pace. They value consistency. They are very reliable and calm and nurturing and practical. They have a tendency to kind of hang on to things because they are just they like things to stay the same. If you think of a Taurus is a bull, which is very like strong, steady, stable, and calm until they're not. So, is there anything else you want to add there?
Yeah, I love all of that. And I'm a Taurus moon. So when you said I love food, I will say those who have a Taurus moon could possibly relate when we tend to be emotional eaters. We tend to want, because the moon is your emotional self, your inner emotions and inner world. And when things are a little tumultuous, it's the comfort foods that a Taurus moon usually reaches for. So yeah, and anything comforting, it's the cozy blankets and the cup of coffee on a rainy day. Taurus loves coziness, comfort, all of those things. Yeah, and like you said, they are stubborn, but that's slow and steady wins the race is kind of the Taurus. They are gonna plod along towards their goals, just like that ox, just like the bull, like who's like stomping along as he's in the yoke, like he's just one step in front of the other. That's a very Taurus thing as well. But yeah, I think you summed it up beautifully.
All right, on to Gemini, which is who I am. So I can't wait to hear your description of it.
I know, I was going to say, so this is Jody's sun sign. So you'll have to pipe in and let me know if you resonate. So Gemini is an air sign, starts May 21st and goes through June 20th. So Geminis are wildly curious. They're witty, communicative, adaptable, playful, clever, quick thinking, expressive, and somewhat dual natured. Although I would say that they get kind of a bad rap for that, almost like I've literally heard people say, schizophrenic, almost like double personalities. And I don't see it that way at all. They can, I believe, kind of change moods fairly quickly, which can really be a superpower, honestly, because you're not going to get stuck in one thing, right? You can go like, all right, we're done with that. We're not, I don't need to wallow. I'm not going to sit in this forever because it's time to pick myself up and, like get over this attitude I'm having, right? That actually can be a superpower. So they're born to connect, to converse, and to inquire. They love learning and sharing information with others. They can feel scattered or ungrounded when overstimulated, right? So this sign really, truly does actually tend to struggle with ADD or ADHD qualities. A lot of times, if you have a lot of Gemini, you're pulled in so many different directions. Your curiosity is pulling you to, every little distraction and noise and, oh my gosh, what was that? And what's happening over here? And so it is really difficult to, if you have a ton of Gemini, to stay grounded and present when you are in conversation with someone, even, they're highly social, quick to adapt to new environments, really kind of Geminis can fit in anywhere, right? They're just a little bit chameleon-like, I think. They can really adapt to their environment. They truly need mental stimulation and variety to stay engaged. They want stimulus normally in information, right? They're going to be the jack of all trades, someone who knows a little about everything, a lot of factoids that they're storing, but they bring humor, cleverness, and lightness wherever they go. Geminis are really, I think, delightful to be around. What do you resonate with any of that, or do you have anything to add since you?
Yes, no, for sure. I mean, when I was first learning about astrology and I learned that Geminis get bored easily, I was like, well, that explains a lot. And mentally stimulated. I do really need to be mentally stimulated. Once something gets boring for me, I want to move on to the next thing because I'm like, oh, moving on, boring. And I have 3 placements in Gemini. So my Sun, my Venus, and my Mercury are all in Gemini. Fickle for sure. I can be indecisive. Absolutely. I think it's so empowering to understand myself from an astrological view now. That makes me just feel like, oh, okay, well, that's why. And now I understand it. And that's just who I am. So you work with it. There's definitely high road, low road of Gemini. The thing I think it gets stereotypical bad rap for as two-faced, but I think as a Gemini, I think we can easily see both sides. So depending on who we're talking to and they're explaining their view, and then maybe if we talk to somebody on the other side of that view, we can see both sides. So I think that can be a superpower for sure. But I'm sure there are plenty of people on the low road with that too. So
No, I absolutely agree with you. I actually was in conversation with a friend of mine who has multiple Gemini placements, and she was saying exactly that. She said she's so good at seeing everyone's side or seeing through their eyes or putting herself in their shoes, really, which I told her that she would be great in politics because we need more of a balanced perspective instead of this polarity that's happening. I was like, oh, maybe Geminis would be good in politics because they'd be able to see from everyone's perspective and come to a really balanced central place, which is what I think is needed in those areas. So yeah, great.
I agree
question.
totally because although I'm not passionate about politics, that is kind of my struggle. It's like, it's a lot of gray area for me because I can see both sides in a lot of situations. So
Yeah, absolutely.
it is
Like
a good,
that idea of maybe it doesn't have to be so polarizing. Maybe
right.
we can all just see each other as human beings and start from there. you
Right.
know.
Yeah, absolutely.
But this is not a political podcast. I want to claim that we are not.
Right.
We're not here to talk about politics. But I just wanted to say that because of that balanced sort of perspective that they come at things with, which is very refreshing, actually.
Right. Yeah, really any air sign as we're going on talking about that would be good.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Yeah. Because when we get to Libra, that's all about balance. But we'll
Right.
get there in a minute. Do you want to take over with Cancer?
Yes. So moving on to Cancer, this is our first water element sign. Cancer is June 21st to July 22nd. Cancer is the nurturer. So it's deeply emotional, intuitive, very caring. My grandma was a Cancer sign. And when I learned about the astrology side of it, I was like, she was like the picture perfect description of a Cancer zodiac sign. She was just that very loving, nurturing person. But if you think of Cancer, it's a crab, and crabs are hard on the outside and then they have like a soft underbelly. They have pinchers. They are very protective of what they love. Natural protectors. They love their home and caring for others, creating cozy spaces and safe spaces. They are very internal. They like to be home. They like to be in their safe place. Their feelings are very sensitive. They have great wisdom. So they're very compassionate, sensitive, nurturing, very loyal. Is there anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think that's great. Like you said, because of that shell, they can retreat when they feel threatened, right? Their home, really, their tangible physical home is their safe place usually. And if they're feeling threatened or feeling uncomfortable, they tend to be introverted, not always, but they tend to be introverted. And so that place of retreat and restorativeness is for them in their home. And like you said, that fierce loyalty too with their family and their home and that protective nature. And they are, I think you mentioned this, but they can be highly intuitive. They're very, very in touch with other people, true intuition, where they don't really know where the feeling came from, but they just have a feeling about somebody immediately upon meeting them. That's a very Cancerian trait. Also part of the water signs. The water signs tend to be the intuitives, like you said. So,
all right, on to Leo. Do you want to do that one?
Perfect. So Leo is our second fire sign. Leo is the radiant heart. July 23rd through August 22nd are the Leo dates. So Leos are bold, generous, can be dramatic, always creative, loyal, warm, expressive, tend to be charismatic. And, I think they do get a little bit misconstrued because sometimes Leo is thought of as the performer, the one on the stage, the one who always wants to be in the spotlight. And I think of them, that certainly can come across that way. Certain Leos are that way. That you'll definitely find Leos on a stage, right? But not every Leo. So I feel like this is a conversation I have often with my Leo friends. Some of them don't feel that at all. They're more introverted. However, they do like to be seen, meaning seen for who they truly are, seen for the creative person they are, the unique person they are, even if it's just on a one-to-one conversation. They like to be seen for who they really are and appreciated for who they are. They have sort of a regal or royal connotation with Leo of a little bit wanting to be special, right? Like royalty would be. They want to be seen as special. And if they are treated as such, will turn around, and the outpouring of loyalty and affection and love from Leos is such a beautiful thing. They're born to shine and express their creative soul. They, like I said, they desire recognition and affection. They're great storytellers. They have giant, big hearts. They can be stubborn or sensitive to criticism, especially sensitive to criticism, because again, it's that, tell me that I'm good at this. Tell me you see me, right? And so then also sensitive on the side of criticism. They really exude confidence and warmth, and they really are magnetic. Everybody loves a Leo at a party.
Yes, I agree. All of that. They do have huge hearts. And I think the stereotypical description of a Leo, like you said, can be like they're dramatic, or they want to be like the star of the show. But they really have a huge heart, and they do want to entertain because it makes people happy. And then that fills their heart because then they're happy and they feel appreciated. They also love children.
Mm-hmm.
Most Leos are childlike and love to play. Maybe it could be having children around too.
Or even just keeping their inner child strong into their adult years. So they tend to be playful, right? And they're the ones who are like at a party going like, hey, do you want to, I don't know, play beer pong? Or they're the ones who want to play and remain in their inner child. And like you said, bring the fun. And if they are seeing other people having fun, if they're creating fun, then they're very fulfilled, because they're like, oh, good, we're all doing it. We're all playing. And they put a lot of importance on that.
Yes.
Which we all need, because life is hard and we tend to be overly serious as we become adults. So Leos keep us young. They keep us playful.
And Leos are great hosts or hostesses. So if you have any friends that are great at hosting parties, they probably have Leo prominent in their chart.
Totally. All right. Virgo, you're up.
All right. On to Virgo. So Virgo is August 23rd to September 22nd. And Virgo is another earth element. Virgo is the helper. Virgo is very detail oriented. They're very thoughtful. They're grounded in service. They're all about service, actually. They notice what other people miss. One of the things that can come across about a Virgo is that they're a little picky or judgy on things, but really they are looking to find what's wrong and fix it as part of their service and helping others and assisting others. They really strive to improve things. They are great healers, and they are really good at helping and supporting people. They're usually very calm and focused and grounded. Like you can feel that earth element usually in a Virgo, like they're just grounded and focused, and they're really great problem solvers. So if you've got a problem and you've got a Virgo friend, they are who you want to call, because they're going to help you get through that situation. Again, just very practical, kind, organized, analytical. Is there anything else you can think of that maybe I missed?
Yeah. Did you mention that they can be very hard on themselves? They tend to worry and hold a lot of anxiety when they are in their shadow, if you will. They can get very anxious and feel like they are not enough or not doing enough. And that what they produce or what they can accomplish is where their worth lies. So really, for a Virgo to embody the knowing that their worth is intrinsic, just as they are, just for being, instead of what they do, because they feel this pressure to be of service. And a really beautiful picture in my mind that popped into my mind of what a classic Virgo looks like, right? Say you've got, let's say the Leo that we just talked about at a big dinner, right? A gathering. And the Leo is telling a story and making everybody laugh. Well, you can pick out your Virgo, because they're quietly getting up and they're starting to clear the dishes and help. And they're in service quietly in the background, keeping things running smoothly. Classic Virgo. So they really have these beautiful servant hearts, but they tend to be harder on themselves than anyone else will be.
Yes, absolutely. All right. On to Libra.
Libra, the harmonizer. So Libra is an air sign, September 23rd through October 22nd. They are diplomatic, very charming, fair-minded, graceful, aesthetic. They enjoy beautiful things, idealistic. They really want things to be fair. almost to the point of, idealism. They're romantic, courteous, and very cooperative, willing to work with others in order to accomplish a goal. They appreciate beauty and art and all things that are balanced, visually, internally, emotionally. They're looking for balance. So they, like I said, they seek justice, fairness, and the middle ground. They are really gifted in social graces. I believe they make great orators because of that. They're great at resolving conflict. They can struggle with indecisiveness or people pleasing, though, sometimes when they are in their shadow, because they're weighing these sides, right? Because they're looking for what is fair. And so sometimes if they can't come to that conclusion of what they believe is the right answer, what they believe is fair, then they remain in this indecisive state. Like, I can't pull the trigger yet because I have to make sure it's the right decision. And then they're people pleasing because they're so in tune with others in cooperation and partnership that sometimes they can be a little self-sacrificing in order to please. Yeah. Like I said, drawn to art, design, and refined environments. So interior design is a great occupation for a Libra. And ultimately, they just really long for connection. I don't know. Do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I think they're just really the harmonizer. They're all about harmony, balance, and creating that in relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Scorpio, you're up, Jody. Take us away.
All right, on to Scorpio, which is October 23rd through November 21st. Scorpio is the transformer. Scorpio is deep, it's intense, it's emotionally powerful, definitely more internal. So if you come across somebody with more Scorpio placements or prominent Scorpio placements, they're going to be like a little bit quieter and more internal at first. And then once you get to know them, they open up. But it seems to me like when I come across a Scorpio, they're just a little bit more, they're just observing. They're just standing back and kind of observing the situation and then going from there. They're naturally intuitive because they are one of the water elements. They're drawn to the mysterious life. It can be all different aspects. It can be, anything that's kind of intense and transformative. So anywhere from spirituality work all the way to maybe being a death doula. I mean, anywhere in there they can fall. They love deeply. So they're a little maybe distrusting at first, but once they really connect with someone and love them, then they are going to be your biggest ally and really be there to have your back. Very loyal. They're passionate, intuitive, private, very determined. Is there anything else you can think of that maybe I didn't talk about?
That was great. Yeah, I liked the way that you described it too. When you first meet someone with strong Scorpio, they are going to have kind of a mysterious air about them because they are holding their cards close to their chest, if you will, right? They're keeping things to themselves until they can trust you. And then they have, once you crack through that, they have this surprising depth to them. And they're really willing to go deep, talk about taboo things or things that other people might be uncomfortable about. They think that is something that should be talked about, right? So when we had the Pluto in Scorpio generation come along, big discussions around AIDS and things like that came up, things that were not considered to be palatable for, you know what I mean, in the news or whatever. And Scorpio goes, we need to talk about this stuff. We need to talk about what is taboo, because there's meaning here. And we either need to go down into the underworld, right, and pull this out by the roots and take it into light and get rid of it, right? If it's dark, if it's twisted, if it's wrong in some way, or we need to find the beauty in some of these things. So they really go deep and aren't afraid to. They're kind of the phoenix rising from the ashes sign.
For sure. All right, on to Sagittarius.
Sagittarius. So I'm a Sagittarius sun, and Sagittarius is our last fire sign, and Sagittarius is the seeker. November 22nd through December 21st. Sag is adventurous, wise, enthusiastic, blunt, sometimes a little too blunt, optimistic, curious, restless, philosophical, bold, idealistic. Sagittarius is ultimately, they are yearning for meaning, expansion, and new horizons. They love to travel. They like to see the big picture. They're curious like a Gemini, but in a real kind of zoomed out way. Whereas Gemini can get really curious about anything that's around them, right? Like, oh, what's this thing? And what's this little trinket? And what's over here? Whereas Sagittarius is like, I want to know about other cultures. I want to travel and see the world. I want to know what's out there. Even beyond that, I want to go like, what's in other dimensions, like really zooming out, right? Which I think is one of my draws towards astrology is all of the Sagittarius that I have, because I want to see the bigger picture. And that's what astrology really has given me in so many ways. They speak directly, sometimes without a filter. It's something I'm working on. They absolutely need freedom, variety, and a sense of possibility. That optimism that comes in, it's sometimes I will say our, since I have a lot of Sag, I'm just gonna say our. Sometimes to our detriment, almost like we might have a picture of something, a pie in the sky picture of something, and we think everything is going to be great. It's always so beautiful in my head, this, whether it be a relationship or something, and I'm seeing the best in a situation and maybe not coming down to the ground and seeing reality, right? So that could be something that Sagittarius does. But also, what a gift, that gift of optimism and seeing the bright side. It can be a real lifesaver as well. So yeah, all about expansion, freedom, exploration. And they tend to be very intellectual and spiritually driven. They're usually tied to either spirituality or religion in some way, because again, they're looking at the bigger picture outside of what is just this tangible earthly place. They want to know more, and they're looking for meaning. The fire signs really are driven by meaning, ultimately.
Yeah, I agree. I have 3 sons, all with Sagittarius placements. So
were you hearing some of them in what I was saying?
Yeah, I think Sagittarius to me is very, belief is huge for them, regardless of what that belief is. So, and they really kind of stand in their power on what they believe.
That's a great way to put that.
And I think they're a super fun sign. Sagittarius is like, I feel that way about, I think all of the fire signs too, but I think maybe because Sagittarius is in opposition to Gemini. So there's a little bit of Gemini and Sagittarius, a little bit of Sagittarius and Gemini.
Yeah. There's a little of that mirror held up in the polarities. A little bit of each, right? There's the polarity of the balancing of each other when you go across. When I'm saying polarity, I mean, if you look at the zodiacal wheel, what the sign directly across, the polar opposite, is a lot of times held up as a mirror. So there's some reflection of those qualities within one another. And there's also its opposite, right? So there's that balance. So that kind of teeter-totter between those signs. But yeah, there's definitely, like we mentioned in episode 1, some similarities between you and I with this Sagittarius Gemini back and forth.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So Capricorn, that one is yours.
All right. On to Capricorn. Capricorn is December 22nd through January 19th. Capricorn is like the climber. They are the ambitious, they're practical, they are an earth element. They are deeply committed to their goals. Capricorn is represented by the goat. They're here to build something. They're here to leave a legacy. They are very responsible. They are a little bit hard on themselves when it comes to responsibility. They really take that role on, like career and building something that lasts and leaving a legacy and working. So a lot of Capricorns' career or work is very important to them. They're disciplined. They're grounded. Again, they're an earth element. They're very reliable, driven. Anything else to add?
Yeah, I would say they definitely want to build something lasting. Capricorn is looking to leave something behind when they go that is a legacy of some kind. They really are looking to build an empire, if you will, or whatever it is that they're looking to build. They want it to be lasting and have a purpose. And they're just going to slow and steady work towards that. And the other thing I will say, kind of on the shadow side of Capricorn, they can really struggle dealing with emotions, other people's and their own. They tend to shut down versus express. When it comes to emotion, they're going to go like, this is too much. I don't really want to deal with this. I'm going to push it down or avoid it or shut down in this conversation if they're kind of in their shadow, because emotions they're so practical, if you will. Emotions feel like too much. I'm overwhelmed, or this is a nuisance. Like I need to get back to work, right? They have their emotions, but they may not be the best at expressing them until they learn that about themselves. And they can tend to overwork when they're also, again, another shadow element, they can overwork themselves in order to avoid some of those emotions. Work yourself into the grave is something that a Capricorn can do unless they find that balance and understand that there's more to life.
All right, on to Aquarius.
All right, Aquarius is the visionary, January 20th through February 18th. This is our last air sign. So Aquarius are innovative. They are humanitarian, a little bit rebellious, right? The rebel with a cause. They can be very quirky, and they really don't care if you think they're quirky or not. They could really care less what anybody thinks. They are so dedicated to being authentically themselves that they don't even notice if you think they're quirky, honestly. They're idealistic, progressive, intellectual, futuristic. I once heard Aquarius described as the future coming back to us to tell us the way to go. Like truly, like they are like almost the time traveler, right? Coming from the future to now to be like, no, we're going to go this way. This is how we progress humanity. This is the way to go. And they can get a little frustrated with people when they're not seeing that future, when they don't have that futuristic seeing. So we really need Aquarius for that reason, because they have that foresight. They march to their own beat, often ahead of their time, like I said, truly improving society. Really, their futuristic thinking really is for the betterment of all. They are selfless in that way because they also are seeing the big picture, kind of like Sagittarius, but for humanity, for the collective, for groups of people, for underserved, anything like that. You're going to find Aquarius. They're going to be out there picketing. They're going to be the ones who are fighting for the cause, right? You know, rebelling against the norm if they feel that is what is necessary. They're not afraid to rebel against the norm. Yeah. Do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, no, I think you covered it. You summed it up really well. They are the innovators, the humanitarians, for sure.
I'm sure anybody who's listening to this probably has at least heard here or there some chatter about the fact that Pluto, our slowest moving planet, has moved into Aquarius for the next 20 some years in November, this past November. So along with Aquarius comes technology, technological advances. Even though that's not necessarily a personality trait, that is something that goes hand in hand with Aquarius, is tech and advances in those things.
Yes. And rebellion and change, disruption.
Yes, disruption of the norm. Yes, exactly.
All right. So on to Pisces. Pisces is February 19th through March 20th. And Pisces is the dreamer. Pisces is very sensitive, creative. They are a water element. They're deeply intuitive. They really feel everything. They feel others' feelings. They're drawn to art, spirituality, healing work. They bring a soft, compassionate energy to the world. They really are a sign that I look at as taking on the emotions of the world, as if they're not doing things to protect themselves from that. They definitely are very empathetic, imaginative, gentle, spiritual. Pisces can be a little bit big dreamers in the sense of great imaginations, and maybe they have ideas that other people are like, what?
I think if I'm hearing what you're saying almost like living in a fantasy world.
Yes.
Right? It's a huge gift they have of this imagination, this kind of ethereal fantasy realm.
Right. Absolutely. And something they need to take into consideration is knowing what's their feelings versus other people's feelings, because they can kind of take all of that on. So being able to figure out, okay, this is not mine. I can let it go because it can feel like the weight of the world if they don't. They're super creative. Pisces are so creative. Lots of singers are Pisces, like John Bon Jovi's a Pisces. A lot of times Pisces become singers or can sing. That's one of their gifts too. They really like to create. Another thing could be escapism too, because they feel everything so much that, it's something that they just want to be aware of, to not do too much of that.
There are really healthy ways to deal with that overwhelm of emotions as well. And to just understand that on the shadow side, there can be abusive substances or food or whatever it may be to numb out or feel better or distract, escape, right? I don't want to feel this thing. What's going to make me feel better? Well, there's really, really healthy tools for that, like meditation, take a bath, time to themselves, read a book, And it depends on the Pisces, of course, and what is their medicine, if you will. But just understanding that about yourself, if you have a lot of Pisces, that sensitivity is a gift. It may feel like a curse sometimes, but it is a gift. And just to be really gentle with yourself with self-care. Pisces need to be very gentle with themselves because they are feeling so much and they have a difficult time, I think, dealing with their own emotions sometimes. So here's something that people don't talk about with Pisces a lot that I have noticed. Pisces can be drawn to other people's drama so that they are not dealing with their own emotions. They want to be helpful to other people to distract from their own thing. Is that something that you have noticed at all with Pisces?
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. But absolutely, I'm absolutely in love with the sign of Pisces. They are really incredible, and their intuition is really off the charts as well. I have heard it described as Pisces, the veil is thinnest between this world and the next with Pisces, because it is the end of the zodiacal wheel of this is the 12th sign. It is that place of death in the zodiac, right? Before the rebirth of Aries. And so they are so connected to other realms that you'll see psychics and mediums, all the water signs, particularly Scorpio and Pisces, but Pisces is very connected to other realms because of that. Yeah. So just overly sensitive sometimes, but what a gift to the world Pisces is.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah.
Well, that sums them all up, I think.
I think so. Yeah, that was great. It's always fun to do a deep dive with each of these signs. And we will, in our next episodes, be getting into the houses.
We'll be doing the houses, the planets, the elements.
And then we'll start to have fun with some mixing and matching and with walking through how the planet plays out in each sign and each house and then aspects. And it's going to be an adventure. It's going to be great.
Yeah. All the layers.
Yes. That's what it feels. Yeah. That's a great way to describe it. It really feels like we're starting with layer 1, right? And then we'll just keep building from there until you'll be able to read your own birth chart and know what you're looking at.
Yes. Thanks for joining us today.
Yes. Thanks for joining us today. And we will see you next time on As Above, So Within.
Conversations Under the Stars. Thanks for joining us under the stars today. We hope you're leaving feeling inspired, grounded, and more connected to your inner truth.
And if you loved this episode, we would be so grateful if you would subscribe, leave us a review, and share it with someone you love.
If you're ready to explore your soul's path through psychological, evolutionary astrology, and personal astrological coaching, you can find Mari at yoursoulpurposeastrology.com or follow her on Instagram and Facebook at Your Soul Purpose Astrology.
And if you're ready to illuminate your birth chart and explore how essential oils can support your emotional and energetic alignment, you can find Jody at earthandskyessentials.com or at Earth and Sky Essentials on Facebook and Instagram.
And remember, your soul is always guiding you.
The magic starts within.